Good evening, everybody. Letting some folks filter in from the waiting room. Thank you so much for being here with us. Sherry's trying to join. Hi, Patty. Hi, iPad. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. Let's get going. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Joe Morales. I am online this evening with you on behalf of Marlene's Lessons and Papayas. And thank you for joining us for part one of our spring reset series with Dr. Evelyn. It's starting to look a little bit more like spring outside here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. The first spring flush is bringing tiny buds and leaves to the trees, which is very exciting. I keep telling my animals, don't worry, spring is coming. It's almost here. But sometimes our energy does not shift as quickly as the seasons. If you have been feeling like you should be bouncing back by now, but you're still feeling dragging and foggy and not quite yourself, this talk is for you. This evening, we'll be looking at why winter fatigue can linger and how things like stress, sleep, blood sugar rhythms, thyroid signaling, and nervous system can all shape how we feel day to day. The goal tonight is not guilt or pressure to suddenly have it all together, because that doesn't work. It's about understanding what may be going on in the body and learning a few gentle techniques to support better energy as we move into spring. We're very glad you're here. Dr. Evelyn, thank you for being with us this evening. Really looking forward to your talk, and I will turn it over to you right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe, for the great introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Evelyn Le Ellis, and I'm a naturopathic doctor. So let me share my screen real quick where you can see where I practice. That little space right there in this Cascade Office Park is where my office is in Olympia, Washington. And today I will present to you about part one of the series of three, why energy doesn't bounce back right away in spring. I wonder in the chat if anyone can put down, have you ever asked this question before? How do you feel right now? Let's give a check in terms of energy from 0 to 10. 10 is the most energetic. 0 is like, I have nothing to give. Feel free to drop in the chat. I can see them too. So let me start with a moment that might sound very familiar. Back in December, many of us were moving through the holidays, Christmas gatherings, family time, late nights, travel, emotional management with kids, and agenda. Maybe a little more sugar and celebration than usual. It's okay. It's just a fact, right? We're just collecting the data. Then January arrives and we tell ourselves, okay, new year, fresh start, resolution. And February comes along with Valentine's Day, thinking about connection and relationships. And then International Women's Day in March just happened recently, where we celebrate resilience and many roles we carry in our lives. And now we arrive at spring. Someone put 5. It took a bit to get going. We are here for you. On the calendar, this is supposed to be the time when everything wakes up again. Longer day, more light, more motivation. But here's what many people quietly notice that they tell me in my office. They're still tired. The alarm goes off in the morning and it still feels heavy. Say yes in the chat if that is still something you feel. And by the afternoon, the brain feels very foggy. Motivation comes in waves. Sleep sometimes feels restless. And many people start asking themselves, what is wrong with me? It's already spring. But here's the important things. I want you to know right away, nothing is wrong with you. Your body simply does not follow the calendar. That sounds familiar? Your body follows biology. So if we understand and lead with biology, grab that calendar, then we will be able to get on top of that calendar for our to-do task. And depending on where you're joining from tonight, the environment may look very different. If you're in Washington, we're still seeing the gray skies and rain. It was like a storm last night in some places with altitude here in Washington. If you're in California or Hawaii, sunshine may already be back. But interestingly, many people in all of these places are experiencing the same thing. Their energy hasn't quite caught up with the season yet. So tonight is the first part of our spring reset series. We're going to explore something very practical, the why energy often lags behind the season, and how your nervous system, stress hormone, thyroid signal, and blood sugar rhythm shape how you feel day to day. And my goal tonight is very simple. You would walk away with a clearer, shame-free understanding what your body may be asking for right now, listening to that signal, and feel gentle shifts you can start using right away to support your energy. Oh, go back to the very beginning, huh? Let me fly through. There you go. All right. So let me ask you a quick question. When spring arrives, many of us expect our energy to automatically return. The days are getting longer. We see more light outside. And culturally, this is a season where we think about renewal and getting moving again. But I'm curious, how many of you have noticed that your body hasn't quite caught up yet? And say yes, or what do you feel right now in terms of like explanation description? And maybe you experience things like still feeling tired when you wake up in the morning, brain fog showing up in the afternoon, motivation that feels inconsistent, or sleep that doesn't feel as restful as expected. If someone is driving, don't worry, you can listen in. But if anyone who can engage with me, I love the engagement. Craving the sunshine, yeah. If any of that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. This is actually one of the most common conversations I have with patients and people in the community this time of year. Especially the flu, the immune system, when they travel, they come back and they feel sick. That's usually linger until springtime. And what's interesting is that many people immediately assume something is wrong. Maybe they think they need more discipline, more caffeine, more shot of espresso, or a more aggressive reset plan. And people would do detox plan where they don't have food, they just detox their body when they're depleted. So we want to understand what is behind the curtain. And often the real explanation is the simpler. Your body is still adjusting to the transition between seasons. And once you understand how the adjustment works, a lot of these symptoms start to make sense. And you can really track from year 1 to year 2 from season like in the winter, spring, summer, and the fall. And you can respond in ways to support your energy instead of fighting against your physiology. And often in each season, we don't eat the same thing. We eat with the season food. We don't exercise the same thing. We exercise differently depending on the weather, the coolness, outside or indoor, right? So let's start by looking at what actually happens in the body during the winter and why those effects can linger even after spring arrived. And here's one of the most important ideas I want you to remember from tonight. This is a fun picture right there. Reality versus expectation. I grew up with a lot of expectations. Until my 20s, I realized the reality is so different later in life, but it's still in time to realize that. Your body does not reset because the calendar changes. Your body resets because of biological signals. And it's different from one person to another. So a lot of women often gather together and say, I feel this way when I use this like cream, or I feel this way when I take these supplements. Sometimes we have to go back. Is it good for me? Is it appropriate this time? It's a very different conversation for individual. And when we move from winter to spring, our minds notice a change quickly. We see longer days, maybe a bit more sunshine, and we think, okay, it's time to feel better now. But the body works differently. Your physiology responds to things like light exposure. And sometimes we don't have a lot of light in Pacific Northwest, so we have to externally bring in that light in from happy light, sad light, etc. Sleeping time, sometimes we go to bed much later or earlier depend on the sunshine that you have exposure during the day. Food pattern, we tend to eat more warmer food in the winter, a little more cooler when the weather got hotter. Stress level, and how safe or calm your nervous system feels. That last part is the most important part that I will talk about in a later webinar. These signals accumulate over time. They don't flip overnight just because the season changes. Think about it this way. If you spend several months in winter rhythms, darker morning, more indoor time, maybe disrupted sleep or higher stress, your body has been adapting to those conditions. We condition our body in a certain way. When spring begins, your system doesn't instantly jump into a new mode. It slowly recalibrates based on the signals it receives days after day. If your energy hasn't caught up with the season yet, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It simply means your body is still reading the signals it has been receiving. And sometimes we're out of patience. Where are the signals? Come in early, please, right? And the good news is that once we understand those signals, we can start sending the body the cues it needs to gradually restore energy and rhythm. Things we can do consistently to activate that rebalance in the season. So the next thing we're going to explore is one of the biggest systems that control those signals, your nervous system. You may hear the concept about HPA, hypothalamus, adrenal gland, energy, gut connection, gut-brain connection, etc. So let's talk about exactly what happened during the winter for the body. Even if we don't always think about it consciously, winter changes the environment around it in several ways. First, we experience less natural daylight, right? The day is shorter, mornings are darker, and many of us spend more time indoors. Sometimes we go to the gym indoors. We stay indoor because it's colder outside. Second, movement patterns often change. We may walk outside less. Here we have rain, stay inside more, or our daily routine become a bit more sedentary. And third, winter often comes with increased stress. To list out a few stress that happen in the holidays that you experience. Mine is travel, social commitments, have to go to a certain events, financial pressure. We spend quite a bit to buy gifts for a family member or to just get to the trip done, right? And sometimes disruptive sleep schedule. If we have some alcohol, sleep is different, travel on the airplane, red-eye flights, etc. All of these factors send signal to the body, and the body responds in a very intelligent way. And as you may hear that I'm very supportive of your body. It shifts into what we might call a conservation mode. Energy is used more carefully, and your body utilizing that. The system becomes slightly more protective. This response is actually very normal. In many ways, it reflects how humans have adapted to seasonal changes for thousands of years from our primitive time, from our forefather, ancestor. But here's the important part. Even though the calendar says winter is ending, your body may still be carrying the effects of those winter signals in your nervous system, your thyroid, your hormone, etc. And that's why many people notice fatigue lingering into early spring. Your body isn't malfunctioning, it's still finishing the process of adjusting. Just like we went through different stages in life, from children, puberty, adulthood, young adult, parenting, etc. Every part of life is adjusting, similar to the season as well, which is different, breaking in different parts. And one of the main systems responsible for deciding whether the body conserves energy or releases energy is the nervous system. So let's look at how that works. And many people think energy comes mainly from things. Let's put in the chat. I'm curious. Let's just have a question of engagement. What do you think energy comes from? We talk about nervous system, but like from any external thing, what do you usually think of energy equal to, that we have energy? I'll wait a little bit. Delicious food. Food, very good. All right, so we think about food, right? And enough sleep. Thank you. Now, my question for you, imagine if any time you feel stressed, would you absorb those food the same way compared to when you feel happy? Also, when you feel stressed, stress means there's a positive and there's a very negative burdensome stress, right? And how does sleep look like, right? And calorie can come from food as well. And the energy that people may think about is caffeine, exercise, willpower, motivation, getting from that, meditation to get the energy from the earth, different way. But in reality, energy often begins with how safe and balanced the nervous system feel. It's a very beautiful system, very complicated and complex, where from your brain stem that is just branch out different nerve system to your arm, your spine, your legs, your body, your digestion, different organs. It's just wonderful with anatomy. And your nervous system is constantly evaluating your environment. If you watch a lot of AI movies, they like constantly evaluate the data around you. So nervous system, and that's what they want to really simulate the nervous system, is asking a very simple question all the time. Is it safe to spend energy right now? And if we meet a tiger or a bear in the jungle or the forest, what would you do? Spend the money to run or spend the money to stand by? And depend on what type of bear, right? When the nervous system senses safety and stability, the body shifts into a state where energy is more available. Remember when, if you ever do any meditation, you really remove a lot of spaces in order to give some room for you to think, room to be. And sometimes it's hard to even like sit still because a lot of time we are more busy body movement, etc. And that's completely okay. They have dynamic movement, and that can really bring that energy and shifting to move things around. And in that state of stability, you tend to notice a clearer thinking, stronger motivation, better digestion, and deeper sleep. Therefore, we want to really cultivate and increase that state of safety and stability. And this is so important for children as well. And if you hear about ACE, adverse childhood event, those children often in that state of fight or flight, that constant shifting of like, do I feel safe? Do I have my parents around me? Do I need to run away, etc. So when they condition themselves without cultivating that parasympathetic system, it's truly difficult for later in life. But that can be fixed. It truly can be fixed. But when the nervous system senses ongoing stress, chronic stress, acute stress, even low levels of stress over time, the body becomes more protective. It conserves energy. And that's when symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, or low motivation can appear. From that perspective, these symptoms are not signs that your body is failing. And these are the explanation of why do we need to even go to antidepressant or anti-anxiety. If we really peel off the layer of the onion, find that root and really deal with it, it will help us to understand our own self, not depending on that much of the medication that will just numb the situation. And there are often signs that your system is trying to protect you in recovery. In other words, fatigue is sometimes the body way of saying, let's slow down for a moment so we can rebalance, right? And when people begin to understand this, something really important happens. Instead of blaming themselves for not having enough discipline or motivation, they start to recognize that their body may simply be asking for different signals, and you can give cues about a signal to your body. So therefore, you get recognized more of those self-sustainable and self-reliance. Signals of safety, rhythm, and recovery. And the good news is that there are small things we can do that help send those signals back to the nervous system. So I'm curious in the chat, what are some of the cues when you notice you're in a state of a little discomfort, unstable, that you usually give yourself so that therefore everyone can learn from that as well. Take a few time, a little moment here. And while you're putting the chat, I can just give you a little prompt. Here's a simple practice you can try this week. And the next time you notice fatigue or low motivation, instead of immediately pushing harder, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what signal might my nervous system need right now? Sometimes that signal could be slowly slowing your breath, stepping outside for a few minutes of daylight, or simply reducing multitasking, which is okay. But if you have like so many things going on in your life, write it down, cross down one thing at a time. Small shifts like these help your body move gradually from a protected state back toward an energized state. And sometimes like for the body, they will ask, hey, can we get some fresh air in nature? And often for children or for adults, when we go to the forest or walk in nature, forest bathing, we will feel a very different energetic feel that the nature has given us, right? So now we talk about the nervous system. Let's look at another key player in daily energy, your stress hormone rhythm, especially cortisol. Let me see if there you go. One important thing to understand about the body is that stress chemistry doesn't switch off instantly. We give them cue, but it doesn't mean it's instantly in a 1 second to switch off. It does need some time. Even when life circumstances improve, maybe the holidays are over, work has slowed down. Sometime right now, tax season is go up for some accountants, and the weather is getting better. The body may still be carrying the stress signals from the past several months, especially if we play that story over and over in our head, right? Stress hormones such as cortisol that release in your adrenal gland above your kidney, the triangle little shape, take time to recalibrate. The nervous system also adapts slowly. It has been learning pattern for weeks or months, and it needs repeated signal of safety and stability before it shifts back into a more balanced state. Think of it like steering a large ship. When you turn the wheel, the direction changes, but a ship doesn't immediately snap into the new course. Inertia got to go in a different direction. So we really have to steer in the right direction, hold on tight to the wheel, right? It gradually adjusts. The body works in a similar way. It looks for consistent signals. The word is consistent. And that thing are stable again, regular sleep timing, steady nourishment, predictable daily routines, and moments of rest. And I totally understand sometimes our lifestyle was having some other dependent children, aging parents, friends around, and it is our job to put up what is our boundary. What do we save around to say yes or no? And a lot of time, a lot of talking about let's say no more often to protect our energy. I have to do that a lot. When those signals happen consistently over time, the nervous system begins to relax and energy gradually returns from that safety nervous system and from that adrenal tonification, gradual release. So if your energy hasn't fully bounced back yet this spring, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means your body may still be recalibrating after a season of stress. And that's what the strategy we're discussing tonight focus less on pushing harder and more on helping the body rebuild those steady signals of rhythm. I remember during medical school, I used to work at the front desk for a clinic, and then the doctor just say, let's do less and be more, because back in 20, we should like boom, 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 try to get things very fast. But the more faster we go, the more mistake we make. So therefore, she just had the mantra, do less, be more. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us may hear them in different situations as well. So when we talk about energy, many people immediately think about things with that food, vitamins, or exercise. But before any of those things can work effectively, the body first needs to be in the right nervous system state. This funny character right here, you want to fight? We're going to go. Our nervous system constantly shifts between two general modes. On the left side of the slide, you see the safety mode, parasympathetic system. When the nervous system feels safe and regulated, the body can focus on things like digestion, mental clarity, and steady energy. Motivation tends to come from natural because the brain is not using resources to defend against stress. This is a state where people often feel focused, calm, productive. But when the nervous system senses threat, which is on that go away, fight it, protective mode, then we tend to, and whether the threat is physical, emotional, mental, lack of sleep, or even constant mental load, the body shifts into what we call protective mode. And in this mode, the brain's priority is survival, right? Rather than long-term performance. Remember those times either you may have exam before, children have to go through testing, they feel anxious, or stage fright when you have to stand in front of the whole audience, or even like sometimes in front before the talk, we feel like those nervousness. That feel like survive. We have to survive through this in order to go to the other side. So that time, like we don't remember much thing, our performance for the exam go differently, or even before we meet with our boss or with the boss just say, hey, can we have a talk? And we wonder, uh-oh, am I in trouble? Something like that. So when we really reframe, reset that mindset, and also have that calmness to practice every single day or consistency, that will help us to frame and change in that moment of feeling the threat of survival. Energy gets redirected towards stress response system instead of things like digestion, creativity, or deep thinking. And that's when people may notice symptoms such as fatigue, brain fog, I cannot think, my brain feel overclouded, feeling withdrawn, I don't want to be engaged, I'm scared, anxious, or lighter and more disrupted sleep because they feel worried. And the key point here is that energy is not just about how much fuel, not much about how much food we put into the body. Even we take vitamins, supplements, but when we take them in a stress mode, the absorption is because the blood flow restricted, therefore the absorption is not as high anymore. It's also about how safe the nervous system feels using that energy. And if you notice, some of people will pray before they eat, will say great things about that they eat or the appreciation phrases. So therefore they feel safe, feel calm, appreciative before they enter any food into the body. So before we ask the body to push harder, work harder, or exercise harder, we often need to help the nervous system move back into the safety mode where energy can flow more naturally. So I want to pause for a moment here and share something that many people need to hear. If you've been feeling tired, unmotivated, or slower than usual lately, it doesn't necessarily mean your body is lazy. Very often, fatigue is actually a protective signal from your body. Your body is telling you, hey, we need rest. There's something. However, sometimes we have family members of the people who look at us, why do you feel fatigued all the time? What's wrong with you, right? We have the external forces that tell us our identity of like, oh, am I lazy? Am I not doing well? Etc. And when we really believe that, ooh, that will make a nervous system to a threat. The body may be conserving the energy, respect that. It may be recovering from a period of stress. For example, people go through grief, loss of a loved one, of an animal, etc. They need time. Or it may be recalibrating system like sleep, hormones, and metabolism that were pushed out of rhythm during the winter months. So instead of seeing fatigue as a personal failure, it can be helpful to see it as information, data. The body is communicating that it needs a little more time, consistency, and support before it returns to a higher level of output. And in medicine, we often think of symptoms not as problems to fight against immediately, but as a signal, as a detailed data to investigate to understand the root cause. Fatigue, brain fog, or low motivation are often messages that the body is in the recovery phase, recovery. And when we respond to those signals with supportive rhythm, good sleep, nourishment, light exposure, and gentle movement, the body often restores energy naturally. So instead of judging our energy level, we can start by asking different questions. What is my body trying to recover from right now? Is it work out too hard? The body asking, hey, can I recover more to really rest? Or if you're thinking have a very hard, stressful 3 months from work, hey, we need some vacation time. And sometimes that's a great prescription for clients too. So instead of just talking about a concept, I like to take a few minutes to actually practice a simple technique together that can help calm the nervous system. Put in the chat if anyone hear about EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. It's a very fun one. Sometimes we don't have time in a day because we don't make time. So sometimes when I do these talks, I just like to do it together. And if you're trying to do it with one hand, if you have available hand and finger, please do it with me. That would be very fun. And EFT tapping combines gentle tapping on specific meridian points from a Chinese perspective with focused attention and affirmations. Many people find that it helps reduce stress, emotional tension, and mental overload. So number one, what we want to do is to identify the issue. First, take a moment and think about something small that might be causing you stress or tension right now. It could be something like I'm feeling overwhelmed, worrying about work, about my children, physical tension in the body. Notice where in your body. Is it shoulder, arms, legs, abdomen, back, or simply feeling tired and drained? You don't have to share with anyone. Just bring it into your awareness. Either you sit or you stand or you lay down. And now step 2 is to rate the intensity from 0 to 10. 0 means no distress, 10 means the strongest discomfort. Just take note of that number so we can see if it shifts toward the end. And now number 3, we will set up a statement. We're going to begin with a phrase that acknowledges the feeling while also offering self-acceptance. Repeat quietly with me in your mind. Even though I feel distress or tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. Let's do it one more time. Even though I feel distress or tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. And number 4 is karate chop point. We'll tap on a certain point. Take 2 fingers. Gently tap the side of your hand right here, the finger, which is on the fifth, on the side right here. Tap on this about 5 or 7 times. It's called karate chop, and just change location on each side. And repeat the statement as you tap. Even though I feel distress or tension, I deeply and completely accept myself. And now, we'll move through several points on the face and the body. Tap gently about 5 to 7 times at each point while repeating a simpler reminder phrases like the tension, distress. So let's begin. Eyebrow, the beginning of eyebrow, tap about 5 to 7 times and say this tension, side of your eye, this stress, under your eye, this feeling, under your nose, this tension, chin, this stress, collarbone, which is like right there, SCM, collarbone, just below the collarbone, let some of this tension soften. Now under your arm, around this area, tap 5 or 7 times. Allow the body to relax. And then go back to the head, allowing calm to return. And now pause for a moment, take a slow breath, breathe out longer than breathing in. And rate the intensity of that feeling again from 0 to 10. Drop in the chat if anyone feel anything different from this. Sometime when I do it myself, I feel, ooh, refreshed, aligned, etc. And sometimes it shifts gradually. Either way, the body has received a signal to begin releasing the tension. So what we just practiced is one small example of how we can help the nervous system shift from stress towards safety. I did this training with the tax relief expert, the lawyer from Massachusetts, way in January, which was very fun to do a podcast with her, very helpful. And when the nervous system begins to settle, many other systems, right, other system of the organs, hormone, metabolism, sleep, and energy often begin to improve as well. So as we move toward the final part of tonight's session, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture plan for supporting your energy as we transition into spring. And as you notice on the slide, I have these QR code, and those are the slide resources and anything resources that you can get from today and from future sessions for part 2 and part 3 as well. So now let's take a closer look at one of the hormones that plays a major role in how your energy level feels throughout the day. It's called cortisol. And I notice not a lot of practitioners measure this for a client unless they go to integrative doctor or functional medicine. This is tremendously very powerful. Blood draw is not accurate, only 1 point in time. I like salivary testing where they can do 4 points in the day or 5 points with the additional in the middle of the night. And cortisol is often called a stress hormone, but it actually has a very important healthy role in your body. One of its main jobs is to help regulate your daily energy rhythm. If we look at the first graph here on the left, they show what a healthy cortisol rhythm typically look like. Cortisol high in the morning, that right help wakes you up, increase alertness, and prepare your body for the day. As the day go on, you can notice the cortisol level drops. By evening, the nighttime, level should be much lower so the body can relax and move into deeper sleep. So ideally, cortisol follow a gentle slope, high in the morning and low at night. And the blue line is the position, the client's result. The green range is a normal range of what it can fall into. And let's look at the middle and right graph right here. You can see this is a pattern of a chronic stress where the dot is a client's result, blue range is a normal range. And these are 2 different labs, therefore they have different range a little bit. And you can notice the dot is really outside of the range toward the nighttime. So this person really have a high cortisol level. They made it feel wired but tired. They cannot sleep at night. There's something going on. And that means a long-term stress, you just have that cortisol keep pushing very hard, pushing harder, squeezing everything out of the adrenal gland to work for you. On the very right side is the pattern of burnout. And you can see the cortisol, the black dot right here, is super low, lower than the normal range. That means they have nothing to give. The adrenal gland is like, I'm tired, I'm done. Deficiency, adrenal deficiency or fatigue. You may hear that word before. And when that rhythm is disrupted, people often notice symptoms like grogginess in the morning, feeling wired but tired at night, cannot sleep, tossing and turning, inconsistent energy throughout the day, especially crash about 2 or 3 p.m. And this is very common during seasonal transition, especially after winter months when daylight exposure, sleep timing, and stress pattern may have been less consistent. The important takeaway here is that cortisol rhythm is very responsive to daily habits and environmental signal. I have a few people who move to the south for sunlight versus like stay in the Washington. They feel so much better down there because of the light signal. And if you don't have the exposure to the natural light, we can always do external happy light with a very high lux that can come in for the UV light. So now we look at how stress hormone influence energy. Let's bring all of these systems together. And now we understand how cortisol works as your body daily energy rhythm. The next question is, how do we support that rhythm in real life? So this has a lot of takeaways for you to really implement. And the encouraging news is that the body responds very well to small, consistent signals. So that walk you through a few practical strategies that help train the body internal clock. By the end of this, I want you to pick out one thing you would commit after day, so therefore your body can have a action step. The first is morning light exposure. Getting natural sunlight within about 20 minutes of waking helps signal the brain it's time to start the day. The light exposure helps regulate your circadian rhythm and support the natural morning rise in cortisol. I love the sunrise time, the sunrise clock, the natural clock that will have the light in the color and no, it's a digital clock where there's no, it's just a battery, no Wi-Fi. So therefore you can have it very far away from your room, but whenever it's a morning, it will release that light color like a sunlight. So therefore, it's a natural stimulation for your eyelid. And the second strategy is schedule your most demanding work during your peak hour. Some people can have a peak energy in the morning. Usually that is the first thing, or afternoon, or even night owl because of their melatonin. So during schedule that the most demanding mental work during that peak hour will help. And the third strategy is a short breathing reset during stressful moments. And if anyone can practice with me, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do one more time. Hold, out. The hold and out combined together, exhale, should be longer than inhale. It will stimulate that parasympathetic system of calmness longer. So that is another way to reset. Now, protect evening brain winding down time. So like warm shower, gentle stretching, yoga, simply dimming lights, reduce screen exposure, helps signal the brain that it's time to transition toward rest. Adaptogen herb, I love this combo. Schisandra, astragalus, ashwagandha, reishi, or even calming herb like lavender. And a few brands from Lassen or Marlene can be natural vitality, Gaia herb, and organic India. Those are great choices with a high quality. And that key idea is that all these strategies will give you that rhythm and consistency. And when your body receives that regular signals, it will help to stabilize the energy. So now let's shift our attention to another important system. I will give enough time for us to answer the question in the end, so don't worry. This one is about metabolism, particularly the role of your thyroid, right? The thyroid is a small gland located in the neck, but it has a very large influence on how the body uses the energy. It helps regulate several key functions like body temperature, metabolism, mental clarity, and overall energy production at the cellular level, pretty deep in there. You can think of the thyroid as a part of metabolic regulator. If you think about, oh, I gain weight, I have puffiness, dry skin, or I feel more cold, people often say hypothyroidism, right? Thyroiditis. And if a person feels as if they feel warm, overly warm, heart palpitation, anxiety, tremor, or trouble sleeping, these can overlap with menopause quite a bit. And the point here is, and it was hyperthyroidism. And the point here is the point is not for everyone to self-diagnose yourself. Instead, what I want to highlight is how closely thyroid signaling is connected to the other system we've already discussed about adrenal, nervous system, and now thyroid. Stress level, sleep, daily rhythm, it all influences how your body regulates that metabolism. So when the body experiences ongoing stress or irregular routines, metabolism may temporarily slow as protective strategy. It's a signal to tell us to protect our energy, remember? In other words, the body may be trying to conserve the energy while it recalibrates. This is why supporting the nervous system, stabilize the cortisol, and maintain a regular nourishment all play a helpful metabolic signaling function more smoothly. And many of you may recognize some of these symptoms, but remember, they are the patterns for doctors to evaluate, not a checklist for self-diagnose, because some of these symptoms overlap with different diagnoses. And for thyroid nutrients like selenium, iodine, zinc, there are several well-known supplement brands here in Lassen or Marlene, such as Thorne, Light Extension, or Solgar. So here's a takeaway. And before we do a takeaway, let's ask this out a question. How do we support these metabolic signals in everyday life? And instead of jumping immediately into a complicated protocol, I like to start with three very simple questions. Am I sleeping enough? Or too much too? Sleep is one of the most powerful regulators of metabolism. When sleep is irregular or insufficient, it sends stress signals that can slow metabolic processes. Question number two, am I fueling my body consistently? Skipping meals or inconsistent nourishment can confuse the body's energy signals. Regular meals help stabilize the metabolism and support steady energy. Three, am I demanding too much too soon to do tasks, right? During seasonal transitions like spring, the body may still be recalibrating. Sometimes we try to suddenly increase productivity, exercise intensity, or diet changes all at once. Giving the body time to adapt often produces better results. There are also a few nutritional factors that support healthy thyroid signaling, like selenium, and that can be from Brazil nuts, two or three, not a whole bag, can be a very good source. See, vegetables such as kelp, nori, or seaweed contain iodine, which is another nutrient involved in thyroid hormone production. However, iodine needs vary from person to person, so it's important to check with a healthcare professional before adding large amounts. Some people may also benefit from nutrients like herbs that support metabolic balance, such as tyrosine, certain B vitamins, zinc, or adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha. And finally, supporting overall metabolic health also includes things like clean filter water, no fluoride, which helps reduce exposure to substances that may interfere with thyroid signaling. So the key idea here is that metabolism responds to consistent supportive signal, good sleep, steady nourishment, appropriate nutrient, and manageable stress level. All right. And let's see. So a few mistakes that people would usually do, and we want to avoid them, right? Is that people try to push harder. It's okay. I'm one of those too. Sometimes I try to push harder when my brain feels like we need to sleep. They start aggressively dieting. They suddenly jump into intense workout programs, or they attempt extreme lifestyle resets all at once. On the surface, that sounds like a positive thing. It sounds disciplined and motivated, but physiologically, if the body is still recovering from months of winter stress, poor sleep, irregular schedules, or emotional demands from the holiday season, that kind of intensity can actually backfire us. Instead of feeling energized, people may notice more fatigue, more cravings, mood swings, or even disrupt sleep. The reason is that the body responds best to rhythm before intensity. Rhythm. Earlier tonight, we talked about several rhythms the body depends on: nervous system, cortisol, metabolic, fuel rhythm. When those systems are still recalibrating, pushing harder can send the body into a deeper stress response. Have you ever known anyone who, like a big marathon, keep running for a long time, similar to their 2030, until they feel like, why am I feeling stressed? Cortisol skyrocketed. And the doctor will say, we need to stop running for now, eat a lot of protein food to really recalibrate yourself before we start again. That's happened to a few clients of mine. So if there's one message I want you to take from this slide today, is this: the body needs rhythm before it can handle intensity. Okay. So as we wrap up, this is a recovery plan. We'll focus on day one and day two. So this can be simple. The most thing is, let's do day one. If we can't, we can move on to next week for day 2, day 3, day 45, the third week. And I want to leave you something simple and practical, a way to think about restoring your energy as we move into the spring season. Rather than trying to overhaul everything at once, it can be helpful to think of this process as a gentle reset over several days, not all at once. And day one, about letting go of a few things that may not be serving you anymore. Stop doing things that prevent you from healing. Did you hear that statement before? And maybe that's a late night, or relying too heavily on processed food, The goal is not perfection. It's simply creating a little space for healthier rhythm to return. And day two focus on a small upgrade of your home. Working in area help keep it feeling manageable. For example, may change out a cleaner to non-toxic all-purpose option. I like the website environmental working group, and you can put in the barcode or the brand that you're using, and they will rate from 0 to 10 which one is more carcinogenic, which is more toxin for your body. And we want to be as clean as possible. Pure Haven, Eagles, a lot of time in Marlene is a co-op as well, or Lassen, they will have those clean, non-toxic all-purpose options. Change plastic to classic possible. I know plastic is very light, but I would say if you don't like a heavy thing from plastic, silicone would be the next step to go, as it can contain, if you go to bring food to work or to school, those are a very good option to use. Dryer sheet, change to wool dryer balls instead, because dryer sheet have a lot of fragrance or perfume. Those can be a very strong chemical in the body with phthalate or fragrance. It called endocrine disruptor. Conventional body products to cleaner alternatives. And when you go to those EWG, Environmental Working Group, you can really see a lot of products in there too. So that's a homework. Day one, ditch the thing that doesn't work for you. Day two, swap things that work for you. And my final thing is spring is not a moment to force change. It's a season to rebuild gradually, and your body responds incredibly well to consistent signals of rhythm and care. Trust your body telling you what you need to do. If you don't follow your body, it will become, the noise becomes louder and louder. It happened a lot. And I hope this helps for the part one. And there's some clarity visit. If you feel like you're ready to take action, feel free to schedule a clarity visit where I can really sit down, telehealth, if you're across state, to really go through what you're going through, and I can just assess and really giving you that personalized plan for the very first session. Our next session, we're going to explore why cravings happen, how blood sugar and hormones influence mood, and why weight can change even when people feel like they are doing everything right. You've been there before. And once you understand those signals, you can begin working with your body instead of constantly fighting it. They call self-love, but at the same time, you understand your own body. It's a beautiful, complex system that we inherit on the earth, right? And thank you for being here tonight. And I will open up for any questions. And I know that Joe dropped in the chat about registering for part two for next week. All right. Any questions for now? Or explanation, I can go back in time. And feel free to pop on our chat as well.
I bet your questions will come up as we let it settle. Thank you so much. I got goosebumps with the mantra and the taps. That was very affirming. Thank you.
Yeah. Often when we do it by ourselves, we feel differently. And we would do it in a group where they have a different energy exchange, even though we're not together, but through virtual, that can be a very good energetic exchange. And these are very subtle things. We just have to really be still in ourselves to listen. The same thing as all these signals that giving us. So therefore, that would be very helpful. Winter and spring is a good thing to really get that kind of stillness in ourselves, because we have more calming time right now. Instead of a summer is happening, then a lot of activity in the summer. Activity have to happen for kids and family, travel and stuff too.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh. And
Yeah,
it's funny
something to
how
share.
big of an impact the breathing exercises for me personally, and it's so easy to do. And how often do I stop to do it? Not very often, but I gotta
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. I think recently, because I'm right now about 10 weeks pregnancy, and then if anyone who remember going through birth and pregnancy, you feel like some days just can't get the willpower to do the things. And I have to listen to a lot of things I grew up with. And one of them is about in Buddhism, because I grew up in Buddhism, later on, like noble Christianity, mindfulness. And they talk about breathe in, breathe out. When you notice and you hear your breath, then you bring the stillness in there. And I know a lot
Mm,
of teaching out there, they may talk about too. It just makes us feel more calm, focused in the moment instead of in the past, what we did last time, how emotionally we feel burdened from our childhood, or instead of thinking about the future, worry for what finance going to be or anything. It's just a moment of peace that we are able to give ourselves. It is a gift.
mm,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
well, Dr. Evelyn, thank you so much.
Thank
The
you.
link is there to register for part two. Patty, um, we're going to be putting together a package for folks who are with us so we can get some reference material to you. So stay tuned for that. And is there anything else? Dr. Evelyn, thank you so much for being with us this evening. I very much look forward to part two.
Yeah.
Um, and everybody, we will see you then. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. See y'all next week.
Yes.